Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Come on, everybody. Happy birthday to the boss man, Ricky Sachs. Happy birthday to
you. Legend!
Give us a blow, mate. Give me a blow.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Gotta say, that blow was about as much effort as you saw from the 3rd minute onwards. Honestly. Becca, thank you, mate. Love you. Guys, welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We do hope you're keeping very, very safe and well. Thank you so much for joining us as that word we've dreaded saying twice in a week is back on the scene. Therapy. Therapy is back on the Last Word on Spurs. If you're listening to the show for the first time, where have you been? We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We are, of course, on X, we're on Instagram, we're across the socials, and we are back. Yes, this sad man recording on his birthday. What a sad man this is. And I'm joined by 3 wonderful, great returning panelists, the Last Word on Spurs. 3 very, very close friends of mine that are going to try and dissect, talk you through Spurs' 2nd defeat of the Premier League season. Let's bring in the boys first before we dissect what we've had to witness earlier on today. Maka, thank you so much, mate, for that lovely, lovely intro. How are you, firstly, mate?
Yeah, well, the most important thing, mate, is it is your birthday. So happy birthday to you, my man. And unfortunately, the lads of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club couldn't deliver a nice 3 points, which I'm sure would have been nice to get on your birthday. And actually, as a bit of a tribute to the absolute decimation that we've had to our back 4, most people know that I put the Romero shirt up. But actually, I've got 2 other shirts behind me today, just on hangers. One with the Mickey Man event and the doggy as well. You couldn't make it up. The 3 shirts that I've got with names on are actually all the majority of the back 4 that's actually out. And there's no doubt that that we're hurting, and the other one obviously hurting today was Matters. I actually thought it was a bit of a throwback today, Rick. A throwback that we didn't want to see. Personally, I didn't see any Ange ball today at all. I thought Basuma couldn't control the ball. I thought that Emerson was struggling. I thought that after a fantastic start with Johnson, I think he went missing. Son didn't even look like he was on the pitch. So I know there's a lot of comments, and there's going to be a lot of comments tonight, and rightly so, about the changes and whatever. And there's no coincidence that we make these changes and we lose a football match. But when you're looking at, throwing under the bus Davis and Dyer, maybe we need to think about some of the rest of the players as well, because there were some pathetic performances on there today, and they need to have a good look at themselves. I think the other key thing as well is that we've said on this show for weeks and weeks, even since some transfer, I've been banging on about this, we are a suspension and an injury away from Dyer and Davis in the back. And guess what? Look behind me. There's a suspension and an injury. And guess what we got served up today? A Davis and Dyer at the back. I will say, I actually thought Davis was our best player today out of everyone. And that goes to show something as well. So I'm not getting carried away with we're going to win a league, could we, should we? And I'm not also getting carried away that the wheels are falling off and it's game over. But you've got to call it how you see it today. And for me, that was absolutely appalling and probably worse than the Fulham game, given the fact that it was less changes. So I think the boys need to have a look at themselves. A lot of them looked like they were feeling sorry for themselves. I put a tweet out on X, or whatever the hell we call it nowadays. We lost our passing. We lost our press. We lost our front foot. We lost our shooting ability. We lost everything. We were back to last season. Last season vibes, people. And we've got to step up, because Villa are going to be a bigger test than Wolves. But we'll say, just finish, Wolves were excellent today for them. Absolutely brilliant. They've already turned over Newcastle, or got points from Newcastle. They've already turned over City. They've now done it to Tottenham Hotspur as well. Like Gary O'Neill, what they've done was fantastic. Bit of karma, wasn't it, for the Sheffield United result? Chelsea last week was a bit of karma for the Liverpool result. So, look, you take the rough with the smooth, but we've got to improve. And I think there was a lot of people, a lot of players, feeling sorry. The narrative all week has been, we are doomed, we are doomed, we are doomed. And guess what happens? When everybody says it, it happens. We're doomed.
Just wonder, Lee, you just said there, I mean, how much the psychological factor of it, as you say there, does perpetrate around the football club and around the fan base, and how much it does have a direct impact actually on proceedings on the pitch. Cracks, love to be back on, mate. Firstly, hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining us. Look, I'm going to open up with you if I can, and you tell us what you think. I mean, Spurs conceding twice in stoppage time to lose to Wolves, a second time in a week Spurs have defeats. And Postecoglou has lost back-to-back games in British football for the first time, along with a whole host of key players in what has been an absolutely disastrous week. Cracks, cheer me up, mate. How are you? Firstly, tell us your thoughts on the back of that.
I'm very well, Rick. Rick, first off, important things first. Happy birthday, you legend. 77 today.
105, isn't it? The way this is
honestly, and listen, Armistice Day today, so I just want to say a big thank you to everybody that served for this country and gave everything around the world. So look, thank you. That's all we can say. People that gather around the internet, because in other days and other times we couldn't have done this unless sacrifices were made. So on Armistice Days, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. Back to the football. Well, listen, it's Armistice Day, and I don't say this lightly. Battles and wars. You know, we have battles and wars for real, but within football terms, today is battles and wars. Look, we've lost a battle today. Postecoglou's not had many soldiers out there on the pitch. He's lost a lot of his generals. He's lost a lot of his leaders out there today. It's tough. It's a tough one. I don't think today was lost in defence. I think that was lost today in midfield. We were naive. We were absolutely naive to not see that game out, even with a draw. Couldn't do anything about that first goal. If Lionel Messi had scored that first goal today, you'd have been seeing it on Sky Sports News for a month, because it was an unbelievable first goal that they got to equalise. And then after that, last 10 minutes, we've lost our heads, Rick. But it just shows you how thin we are once you scratch underneath that starting 11. So, look, going forward, this is a project with Ange Postecoglou. Can the club back him, bring in players that he needs and wants? Can we get out those that are not quite shaping up and doing it? So that's all you can ask. It's tough. It is really, really tough. I've seen some tweets today after you put out about, or the pod put out, can we have your questions? And I've even seen tweets saying, do you think we can stay up this season? Come on, stop it, please. Just stop it. It is embarrassing, Rick. That's absolutely embarrassing. Can we stay up? It's just like, I don't know what's happened to people. Just hold your nerve. You've got to hold your nerve. We've got to go with this. When Ange came in, we all said, everybody said, do you know what? We're going to get a couple of cuffings here and now, and we're going to hand out a few cuffings whilst everything is coming together. So I'm not just looking at today. Ange has probably got 2 seasons before you can even start looking at him, before you can even start looking at what he's doing, where he's going. If you, at the start of this season, told people and said to them, look, this will be the start of the season, this will be where you are, these are the results you're going to get, you're going to be somewhere here or there around this top 4, everybody would have snatched their hand off, would have absolutely snatched their hand off. This is football. And on Monday night, we was honestly, Tottenham's luck, isn't it, Rick? Absolutely Tottenham's luck. Everything went against us. The sending offs, the injuries, and we've come out today and we've nearly got over the line for some naivety from players that are not going to be part of the long-term plans. We nearly done it again today. So I'm just asking everybody, calm down. Just please calm down. And today, of course, it hurts, it stings, but we've just got to look in the direction of travel, haven't we? And where we're going and what he's giving us. So look, like always, we now go back to the owners of this club and just say to them, look, guys, we're all in as fans. The players, you can see, they're all in. Come January, come the summer transfer window, back it. Because you've got something going on here. You've absolutely got something going on. I've done a night last night with Steve Perryman and Keith Birkinshaw. Now, Keith made his debut as a player in 1953. 1953. That's 70 years ago when he started playing football. 70 years. When he said 1953, I thought he was talking about 7 minutes to 8 o'clock. It's nuts. 70 years he's been in football. 70. And he said to everybody last night in Wales, this Ange Postecoglou's got something about him, you know. I like him in his very dour Yorkshire way. And Steve Perryman said, yeah, I like him. I like the cut of his jib. I like what he's doing. I think Tottenham's got something with Ange Postecoglou. So there you go. You've got two absolute stalwarts, solid gold football legends that are saying, that understand the game from back to front. Ange Postecoglou's got something. So I'm just asking the fans and the players and the people that run the club to go with it. So you're going to get things like this come up today, but the direction of travel is still good, Rick.
Cracks, thank you, mate, for trying to keep us believing. Pat, come over to you in terms of believing. Look, 2 losses in a possible 12 so far. And as we know, look at the league table at the moment, Spurs, of course, 26 points out of a possible 12 games. It's undeniable to say this last week has scalded us, not in terms of those 2 results that we've had, but also in top of the injuries that Spurs have suffered. And of course, today represented an opportunity where Spurs were within minutes, Pat, minutes of going back to the top of the league before 2 late Wolves goals handed them the second defeat of the week. It is an absolutely gut-punching result for Spurs. And as a team, let's be honest about it, we weren't up to it required as a whole, but there were some clear weak spots in the team. Many may disagree. Many may not feel this international break has come at a good time for Tottenham. But personally, for me, I just feel, Pat, we need to have this time to reset, to refresh, to really look at what we've got, for players to take accountability now of what needs to happen moving forward, because I'm sure you boys will feel the same, Pat. I'm sure you'll feel the same to some degree. When I looked at what was out there today, for me, we didn't stick to the principles of what an Ange Postecoglou side represents, what it does on the pitch. And that was evident, dare I say, from the moment we scored to right at the end of the game, Pat. What do you make of that result, performance, and everything that came with it, Pat?
Yeah, first and foremost, bear with me. My internet seems to be bugging out a bit. So if you lose me for a bit, hopefully I'm able to come back in. But first and foremost, it feels like it's been ages since I've been on here. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to all the fans and people tuning in, regardless of where you are and what time you're watching this back. And yeah, once again, happy birthday, Ricky, man. Enjoy your day. I don't know what you're doing streaming on your birthday after that result, but it just shows the commitment and the desire and obviously everything you put into this. So yeah, one love. And yeah, everyone show Ricky some love in the comments, man. He deserves it. But going back to the game, a horrible watch, Ricky, and it's a shame you had to watch that on your birthday, man. Probably the worst performance I've seen of Spurs this season. And where do we start, man? Where do we start? We all knew in the summer that we were threadbare and short in certain places. You know, we don't want to be negative. You don't always want to be harping and over the same things. But we knew that we needed another playmaker in case the worst happens to Maddison. We know Maddison's a fantastic player, but his injury record is very sketchy and patchy if you look at him at Leicester. And, you know, bless his cotton socks, it seems like he was playing on a knock for quite a while. And unfortunately, he's done the ligaments and he's going to be out. And the reason why is because he, you know, even if you look back to when they called his number against Chelsea on Monday at half time, he was like me, like he didn't even want to come off. He was still willing to play through it. And obviously, once they did the scan, you know, the damage is a lot worse than expected. But that's because the guy is willing to, you know, literally roll his sleeves up and fight tooth and nail for us. But he's out. Mickey van der Ven, unfortunate. Is this due to all the stoppages and VAR, the stopping, the starting, and then someone explosive like Mickey, you know, pulls a hammy in a cold weather like it was on Monday? These are the things that the Premier League need to look at because, you know, hamstrings and ACLs and all of these things seems to be on the rise. And I think it's a lot of the stopping and starting. But anyway, I digress. And then, you know, you lose a couple of players. Romero, crazy what he did, unforgivable, definite red card. I'm not going to sit here and try and defend it. But then we're back to basics and we're back to essentially the back line that was starting the last 2 or 3 seasons. And they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And as much as I wanted to be positive, you know, Ricky, I was messaging you saying, yeah, we're going to win. I've been telling all the boys and everyone, yeah, I feel we're going to win. When I saw that starting lineup, the defensive, you know, back four really worried me, man. The centre-back pairing of Eric Dyer and Ben Davis in 23-24, that is scary. Against a very fast and competent Wolves front 4, front 3. Wolves are a good team, man. You know, they're not where they should be in the league, but like I think Lee and Crackers has said, they've taken points off Newcastle, they've beat Man City. They're a good unit, they're a good outfit, and we weren't at it today. I mean, you know, when you're down to bare bones, you need everyone to have an 8 or 9 out of 10. And there was too many players today that just weren't at it. Basuma, that's the worst I've seen him in a long time. He just looked like he couldn't stay on his feet. It was really weird. And I don't know psychologically the fact that he was almost on a suspension got to him because he just didn't look like the same guy. He was absolutely crap today. That's the worst I've seen Basuma. I'm not trying to dig him out, but he just wasn't good. Sarr, again, was slipping all over the place, misplacing passes. That's probably the worst I've seen Sarr. I like him. He's a brilliant young player, but he didn't look good today. Højbjerg, I thought, was diabolical. I don't even want to get into him. I don't want this to become, you know, a show where I'm starting to dig out players, but I thought he was absolutely shit, if I'm being honest. And then, you know, you look at Eric Dyer. He was decent until like the 93rd minute, and then he absolutely went to shit. I thought, Emerson Royale, man, what were you doing in the middle of the park? 1-1, a calm head. Just go back to basics. Like the way he just fell over the ball and just let them, it's crazy. And then, you know, you look at Son again, wasn't good today. I don't know what was up with him. He was okay in moments, but all in all, that wasn't a good performance. That wasn't, you know, Son's been one of the best players in the Premier League. He had 8 goals in like 11 or 12 games, but he was MIA today. He didn't even know he was on the pitch. And I just think for where we are right now with the players coming in, there was too many players that had a subpar game. And, you know, we're the sum of all part of our parts, and it just wasn't good enough. So when you have 8, 7, 8, 9 players having stinkers, ultimately you're going to lose a game. And that's what happened. And again, I don't know, for me, Big Ange, I didn't think he reacted quick enough to what was going on. From like the 60th minute onwards, we just didn't seem to be in the game. And I thought for me, he should have made a few changes or tweaks as the game was going on. And it's like, obviously he's learning on the job. He's watching our players, and, you know, the best way to learn about a player is to see them in action and in the fold. But I don't know, it's almost like he sacrificed today to really understand what was going on, but I would have rather taken something out of the game than, you know. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. I know it hurts right now. I was fuming after we lost. I went nuts, considering we had the game in our hands. Like, you know, even though it was a crap performance and we weren't good, the fact that we was 1-0 up in the 93rd minute, you've got to see that out. How can you lose 2-1 when you had the game? We were winning that whole game. That's crazy. So they literally smashed and grabbed us, but they were the better team. So, you know, when I look at it, I'm annoyed and I'm angry, but fair is fair. They were better than us, if we're being honest. But it's just annoying because we led the whole game and then we ended up throwing it away. So I don't know if I've answered your question, Ricky. I've gone on a bit of a rant.
I feel you've done the whole podcast there, Pat, in the space of 6 minutes. Can we? Should we just go now, shall we? Should we all go to the party?
No, to be fair, you're spot on, mate. You're spot on in everything you just said. I mean, it definitely was the worst performance. And again, a lot of people are going to dig them out. Dyer and Davis, including us four on the panel as well. So many people in the comments. I don't think they were the main problem today. The main problem today was Sarr had probably his worst game. Basuma was shocking today. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, if you go back and watch the goals, and I'm digging out Bentancur as well. We'll love him and fantastic to go back. Bentancur does not go with his runner, their substitute. Their substitute that came on, the Spanish lad, who, by the way, unbelievable goal. What a finish. What a tee up and a finish. But he wasn't tracked. You go back and watch the goal, it was Bentancur that didn't track him. And this was come back to midfield, as Crackers said and Patrick's just said. It was all midfield. And then the other goal, that Højbjerg, just not tracking. Go and have a look at the midfield.
Dyer as well, I must say, Lampmacher as well there. Just add on that, Dyer as well. Plays a ball out.
But Dyer caused it in the first place because of ineptness about being able to pass. He just kicked it out of touch. It was going back to Hugo Lloris in goal, you know, flicking a little sand wedge over to a fullback that they can't control. And he's flicking his ball and he don't know where it's going. It just goes out of touch. And they're on it. They've got energy. The crowd are up. They throw it quickly. Today, our performance was slow. It was lethargic. It was backwards. It was, even with throw-ins, I said this privately in a different group a couple of weeks ago. I actually love Ange getting the ball and people are taking throw-ins. City do it all the time. You don't have to wait for your fullback to trot up 10, 15 yards to take a throw-in. It's whoever's there closer. Get the ball back and play. Let's play. We weren't doing that today. We were doing none of that today. But Wolves were. You see where I'm coming from, lads, viewers and listeners? And it is frustrating. It's not. I'm not here today to look into the future and a crystal ball and see where we're going to go. I'm just talking about today's game. It was lethargic. It was backwards. It was sideways. It was last season vibes all day long. And you have to put that down to the players that were coming in because there's no other reason for it. You know, I don't know. It's how many times, you know, when COVID was around massively, how many times did we look at our players and think, have they got COVID? Like, they had like flu-like symptoms. They couldn't run. Or, you know, Kulusevski today, what happened to him 15 minutes into the game? What happened to him? You know, lethargic and just moving. It's just bizarre. It's like a flu that is just caught across the whole of the team. You know, is that the Dyer, Davis, Højbjerg vibes? I don't know. Maybe it is. Some people will tell me in the comments, but it's just bizarre, Rick, that the whole team. You just got to put it down to the whole team. We were crap. I totally agree with you, Patrick. We were rubbish today from start to finish. And not one player in there that was good. Other than Vicario that makes another good save because he does it every week. And quickly, can I just say before we go on, just quickly, we were much better against Chelsea. And I was there at the stadium with 9 men. With 9 men, we were better. Rick, honestly, weren't we? Not being funny, we were. We created 3 unbelievable chances when we were 9 men against Chelsea. We were pushing up. We were still front foot. We were pressing. And people could say, oh, well, yeah, but you know, we had Madders. No, we didn't. Not in the second half. Oh, yeah, but we had Van der Ven. No, we didn't. He was already gone as well. So what is the difference? What is the difference today? We had 11 men on the pitch. We could have gone right up and high. You know, Chelsea have got Nicholas Jackson. He's got to be faster than Hwang, isn't he? Or something. They didn't even have Neto today. See where I'm coming from? It's just so frustrating.
The mad thing is, Mac, as you say there, Lo Celso shot on target, 87th minute was only the second shot we had since Brennan Johnson's goal from the 3rd minute. And that tells you everything you need to know about the lack of creativity.
100%.
You know, to be fair, Cracks, come over you. Look, Wolves had seen plenty of the ball throughout the game. They didn't exactly trouble Vicario in the Spurs goal, despite creating a number of openings prior to that Sarabia's superb equaliser. Spurs did look on course to, as we said, you know, be in a position where they were going to be, you know, a rival where for them they would have, you know, cemented that place towards the top of the league. But I think what is very, very, again, clear from today, the biggest miss, of course, being James Maddison, not having that creative player, has cost us. Maddison has 80 shot creations so far this season in the Premier League. Bruno Fernandes, the next closest with 59. That comes to show you just how important Maddison has been this season for us. Sorely missed. And the fact of the matter is also correct. You know, we never had control of that midfield, as Lee's alluded to today, and couldn't create enough. And I think it's really important that we stress this out here. You know, we're not reactionary. We try and be fair, balanced. But the fact of the matter is that when I look on social media, some people are acting like we're not 3 months into a new project. we had a really good start. Of course, we've enjoyed it, but there's a long, long way to go to build a top team. And that's what Anne just said as well. Do you think, in a way, Cracks, this is a reality check before this next period now where we've got to show some real guts and desire, because we're going to have to be without some real key players to come even after the international break?
Yeah, absolutely that, Rick. It's, I think Ange's start to the season has thrown him into the stratosphere, but then everybody thinks he should be staying there. And the reality is, with the squad he's got, you can't. So when you get the come down like today, it feels like 10 times worse than it actually is. It's a little bit like when Ange came in and he was a breath of fresh air, because of Conte before him, because of Mourinho before him, and the pitch black darkness that was Spurs. When he came in and he switched the bulb on of Ange Postecoglou, it seemed to be about 10 times brighter than it actually is. So all of a sudden you've got this blinding lights of Ange Postecoglou coming in, and everybody thinks, oh, wow, here we go, this is it. So the expectations are thrown through the roof because he's playing some Tottenham football, something we can all buy into, as a fantastic start. But as we said when he first came in, we'll have some tremendous highs and we'll have some tremendous lows with him. So it's all about just having a few reality checks with what's going on with Ange and trying to get this rebuild done. You know, he's going to see players that have come in today that are obviously not going to be part of that revolution. Listen, it got to 93 minutes and we were 1-0 up in a game that we was all fearing, because Wolves are a pretty decent team, you know. They've had a couple of wonky results, but that was just due to some terrible decisions that they've had with penalties. That's a tough game. It's a tough test today. And I think we kind of beat ourselves more than they beat us, if that makes sense. We just classic Spurs, yeah. Absolute naivety in a exactly, in a few positions. So look, I'm just trying to cling on to some of those moments that we're showing in games, like the goal that we scored today. Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Well worked. The dummy for the ball that went out wide, and then the cross in, and Johnson getting his goal. And you look at that and you go, well, there's something you can hang your hat on. Sonny's goal in the Chelsea game that got disallowed. You look at that and the movement and everything that went into it. And for a toenail, literally a toenail offside, you look at that and you go, wow. Well, that's some football that I want to go and watch. So, as I said to you at the start of the show, Rick, you've just got to be brave. Can we get the personnel, not only in the first 11, but in the squad? So if you do get a few injuries, a few suspensions, but when the replacements come in, we can carry on doing things like that. But listen, it's people like Romero today. He needs to be looking at this and thinking to himself, I should have been there today. For a little bit of more grown-up thinking when I'm playing football, I should have actually been there today. So, Dyer's not the answer. Davis isn't the answer. They've come in, big up to them. They come in and gave everything today. I think they done okay, but is okay enough? It isn't, is it, Rick? It's just not. That's not enough.
No.
All that just doing enough isn't enough. So there's players that we need better than what we've already got.
Yeah.
But with Ange's philosophy and with what we've seen for a couple of these goals and in a couple of moments, we've just got to make those, not moments, whole games.
Yeah.
If he gets up personnel to make it the whole game and to see it out, we've got something. We've got something you can hang your hat on.
I totally agree. I think Pat put it so well. The fact is that when you've got 4 or 5 players out, the guys that are coming in, they've all got to give you an 8 or 9 out of 10 minimum. 8 or 9 out of 10 minimum for you to go to Wolves and get a result. And I'm going to bring Baka back in here because look, we've seen earlier this season, they've beaten City at home. They've got a draw against Newcastle. These are really, really good sides. These are really, really good sides. And friend of the show, Paul O'Keefe, and I think Paul always is very similar, very level-headed and balanced. He put it very well and he said that Spurs aren't top 4 quality unless they could keep their best 11 fit and available all season. That's impossible to do so. They are still a work in progress and are trying to create a different style of play and a system under a new manager. 12 games with 26 points is a bit above par when you consider that. And Macca, we're going to come to the game shortly, but I'll let you come back in there because I think the biggest issue that all the people want us to address seems to be around the depth of the squad. It does feel, Macca, and I know Harry Brooks as well quoted this on X, that the replacements coming in seem really unsuited to what Ange Postecoglou really wants to work with. You know, the squad's been built for previous coaches with different ideas, a la Conte, a la Mourinho, a la Nuno. And it does feel that, for me personally, it's going to take, you know, a couple of winners at least to fix the squad, to get it where Ange wants it to be. One of the biggest issues we know is Eric Dyer. He just can't play the way or press the way that Ange wants to play. And that's not me digging him out personally. It isn't just him. There's a number of players, but it goes against all of the instincts. When you look at that first goal for Wolves, Romero, who Crack said so eloquently as well, should be looking at this thinking, I should have been there. But he would have decisively gone and pressed out wide and stopped the pass. Dyer, it's not his fault, just doesn't think that way. And I just personally can't see that changing. I know it's well, again, in hindsight to say this, to maybe have looked at a Dorrington or a Phillips. But again, bringing Højbjerg in from Maddison, was that in fighting trouble? You know, Ange said we wouldn't change our tactics, but we did. We did change our tactics. You said it, Macca. We went extremely defensive, and it was made worse, I think, when Sarr went off, and 2 shots all game says it all, really. It was a really, really bad game at the office. We'll come on to the players and the game itself directly, but Macca, the depth of squad, you've said it often as well. This system, this team, for where Spurs want to be, relies on you keeping the 13, 14 players fit, and we're without 4 or 5 of them, Macca.
Yeah. So look, there's quite a lot to unpick. Again, I think you're completely spot on. When you look behind me today, I've got a couple of hangers on there as well. But then 3 players are freer out of our back 4. I mean, that's absolute decimation. If you do that to any team, probably, maybe not City, but any other team, if you take 3 of their first teamers out of their back 4, you're going to struggle. But I don't want to focus on that today, like right now, because I don't think our back 4 today was the actual problem. I think the actual problem today was actually the rest of the team. Like Cracker said it earlier, the midfield. What I don't understand, and look, there's a lot of comments. There's a lot of people coming in the comments as well, because from a YouTube side of things, audio. When you listen to this back, you won't see the comments. But there's a few people, from paraphrasing, saying about the youth and using the youth. Now, I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm just going to throw it out there. But if Ange Postecoglou is worried about game time for the likes of Dyer, Davis, Højbjerg, Lo Celso as an example, because they're having a game time in the first team. And then you've got the likes of Donnelly, who is ripping up, through the youth. The likes of Dorrington, who's ripping it up. The likes of Ashley Phillips, who's been doing well in the Premier League too. I know it's a lot of different standard to the Premier League, but does that playing regularly and getting game time in that league, does that kind of trump not playing at all and then just starting off cold? I mean, I don't know the answer to the question, but if some would say yes, then why wouldn't we put a Donnelly in today in replace of a Maddison? Like, why would we play Højbjerg in the Maddison role? With the greatest respect, or a Sarr or a Basuma, because that's the midfield 3 that we started with. There was no creativity at all. And so at the very least, if you're going to trust Lo Celso, if you trust him, you think he's match fit, then you start Lo Celso, don't you? Because surely Lo Celso is a Maddison replacement, right? And now I'm taking your question about, is it squad depth? Yes, it's squad depth. And yes, we've got to understand, and this is no excuses to the board and to Levy and all that. You know, we see everyone rolling that out now, Levy out and all that sort of stuff again. Look, nothing's changed from the summer. Nothing's changed from last season with the board. You know, they've just got a guy that's come in, that's galvanised the club, brilliant. But there's still so much work to do. So the reality is that the team that Kalajdzic has helped build and the recruitment team has helped build, I have to say, and I'm not going back on what I've said before, I think the recruitment previously, before Kalajdzic came in, was shocking. It has been for years. But since he's came in, he's got more right than wrong. I think he's been very, very good. But we need some more time. And now, obviously, with Lange come in and, you know, the new recruitment team that's coming under there as well, unfortunately, we can't do anything about the January transfer window not open yet. But what we could have done, coulda, shoulda, woulda, you know, as my friend Bev sung all them years ago. But the reality is, what we could have done is spent more money in the transfer window in the summer. We could have got more players in, but could we have realistically? So I think if we know that the players that we've got in our squad today can't play that system, but maybe some of the youth players can because they're playing that way, you know, in the Premier League 2 and under 21s level. Would that level it up if they came in? And actually, I think what we lacked the most today was composure, was energy, was pressing. The person that we missed today, not necessarily just from the creative, but the pressing from Maddison. It was so obvious how much he presses. Probably why he's got a ligament ankle injury right now, because he presses so much. Son just looked lost today pressing. No one else was pressing. Literally no one else. Not even Johnson. I mean, this guy's 20, 21, 22 years old. He's sprightly. He's in the mixer. And he wasn't really pressing. So there was no press going on at all, Rick, was there, across the midfield. So we of course, Davis and Dyer, you know, they're not ideal at all. But like what Cracker said, you can throw them under the field. You can do what you like. Anyone can do what they like. They can throw them under the bus if they want, but it weren't their fault today. Go back and watch the goals. Yes, it was Dyer putting out a play, but you've got to track your runners. I mean, this is basic. Yeah. Track your runners. And if you look at them runners that scored them goals, Bentancur should have been tracking and Højbjerg should have been tracking. Bentancur and Højbjerg are midfield players, and they didn't track their runners. They left them, they lost them, and they went and both of them went and scored. And if they track their runners, either of them don't score. Simple as that, as to kind of throw some crackers.
You know, just to bring Pat in here, you know, I was really disappointed by Højbjerg today because I think, you know, when we've seen him come on in games where he's used the dark arts, he's really, in my opinion, you know, he's earned his right to get a start, you know, and many would say it was in controversial circumstances to some degree. But the approach to the game, he was so uncharacteristically immature. You know, we gave away the ball so much. And I think the reality is that when you've had a settled 14, 15 players that have come in, those that are now that haven't played, they look really, really leggy in comparison to the ones that have played. And I've got to say, look, for me, Porro and Davis were excellent. They were absolutely excellent. But there's no question that the next few weeks now are going to be a massive, massive test for these players that, in my opinion, some of them are so unsuited to the style and the system of play which Jan Postecoglou is looking to deploy and put in place. But I think the biggest thing for me, Pat, and I don't know if you agree, is that all throughout the game, we just weren't helping ourselves. Every time we had the chance to calm the game down, keep the ball, we give it away again. Immediately, the same way we gave it away, just like Chelsea. And look, we've highlighted a number of players already, but there were so many passes that were hitting Wolves players' legs and not reaching the target. And I think many will look at today and think, we've got a huge next 2-3 months to get beyond now until the likes of Van der Ven, James Maddison come back. And that's before we have the rest of the band to continue with Christian Romero. Basuma's now missing for Aston Villa. You know, how worrying is it, Pat, that the players that are coming in just are so unsuited to the way in which Tottenham and Ange want to play? And that's despite the fact that the manager told us before the game, we're not going to change. We're going to carry on the way we're playing. What do you make of it for you, Pat?
Yeah, no, apologies. Sorry, I missed a lot because I had gremlins, my internet was down, I was trying to get it back, had to do some troubleshooting, and I've missed quite a bit, so apologies. So, yeah, again, where do I start with this? I think it's difficult because, you know, Ange has we all admire his characteristics, his principles, his ethos, the way he wants us to play. But you're putting square pegs in round holes at the moment. And like, for example, you lose Mickey van der Ven and Romero, and you realize how competent, how comfortable, how relaxed and composed they are on the ball. Because when you see Eric Dyer, obviously Eric Dyer and all these guys, they're playing to the best of their abilities, but Eric Dyer's not good on the ball. How many times today is he like trying like Hollywood or hospital passes and they're not coming off, kicking the ball out of play? Even Ben Davis, for me, he had a really good game, but he's not comfortable on the ball as well. The amount of times he whacks the ball into people's legs and he overhits passes, and you know, these guys aren't good ball playing centre backs. So you're asking them to do a job which they're not comfortable doing, and it's going to lead to mistakes. So I don't know if Ange has to tweak things a bit, and we have to just manage the next couple of games. Obviously, Romero's out for 3 games, so he's got 2 more left. Van der Ven's out for a while. We just don't have the centre backs that are set up to play the way we want to play at the moment. You know, even Højbjerg, the amount of times he was playing the ball without looking, and he's overcooking passes, giving it away. You know, we're trying to play back to the keeper. We're putting Vicario under unnecessary duress because the passes to him aren't really good enough. Then he has to obviously overcompensate, and then we're just looking very shaky, and we'll sense that, the crowd sensed that, and obviously it just grew and grew and grew. And yeah, we're just trying to do things with players that we, you know, the guys that we recruited, like, we got it spot on. They all fit the way we want to play. They're all comfortable receiving the ball back to goal or back to thing, and no, they can do different things. These guys coming in can't do that, and so we just look like a completely different team, and we just ran out of ideas. There's no creativity in the middle. Then you just got your usual suspects, like, you know, Sa, who's usually really comfortable on the ball, Basuma, who's really good. Like, I saw Basuma basically beat a press, I think, once in the whole game. Usually Basuma will drop a shoulder, turn a man one way, go the other. Nah, he looked scared. I don't know what happened to him. It's like,
scared.
Yeah, he looked scared. He looked like Basuma under Conte. I've not seen that Basuma for a while, and I was thinking, what's going on, man? And then at half time, I thought, you know what, Ange's gonna talk to these guys, tell them to calm down, because we look nervous. It's like we were playing the occasion. It's like, yeah, we lost to Chelsea. I know, I get it. It was the thing is, the scoreline was bad, but I actually thought the way we played was really admirable, and we came out of that game with our heads held high, thinking, cool, 11 versus 11, we go again. But today, it looked like we felt sorry for ourselves. And as soon as you do that, you know, these guys are, they're going to smell blood, and they were all over us.
100%.
I thought the referee had an absolute shocker, Tim Robinson. I couldn't believe TNT was saying, oh, this guy's been earmarked. He's one for the future. He was diabolical. The amount of stuff he let go. The thing is, if you're going to let things go, be consistent. Craig Dawson literally assaulted Son, pushed him in the face, pushed him down to the ground. Yep. No card was given. The second one where he assaulted Son and stepped on his nuts, and he only gave a yellow card. I'm like, you know, and then Basuma, end of the first half, he gets a yellow card for something that their guys were doing all game. Yep. I think one of the Wolves players literally
got a ball in that yellow card as well. I thought it was a good tackle.
Yeah, he got the ball, exactly. He got the ball. I understand he may have been a bit out of control. Cool, I get it. But then what about the guy who literally assaulted Pedro Porro, raked down his Achilles? No yellow card on that one. They didn't even want to give a foul. It's only because Porro went down screaming and rolled over about 10 times. Then they had to bring it. It's just the inconsistencies in the same game is what's really killing me. I just don't get it. But, you know, it's not really an excuse. We just weren't good today, man. And, you know, when you talk about the next couple of games, I just hope we can have some sort of resurgence, because the games coming up are tough. Aston Villa is going to be a toughie. They did the double on us last season. They beat us home and away. Yeah. And they're better now than they were last year.
They were way better, though. It's shocking. Let's be honest. And look, this is the thing. Like, we fall into this trap, right? Of kind of, oh yeah, but they're going to be good and they're going to be. We keep talking ourselves down. We are going down, not down. But you know what I'm saying. Us Spurs fans, you can't talk us up. It's impossible. You cannot get this fan base to talk us up. I've been trying for the last 6 years on the show. It is impossible. Like, on the groups, it's like doom and gloom. It's like, literally, I want to like cut my own head off. It's like, we're done. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's actually, even in the comments, like, I'm not having it. Even in the comments, like, seriously, we lost a couple of football matches. So everyone does it. We're not going to go invincible for the whole bloody season.
Do you know what, Rick? We were so short at the back today that every time the commentator said Dawson, I thought he was talking about Michael Dawson. I thought we'd actually drafted him back into defence. That's how short we was at the back. So, you know, listen, with Spurs at the moment, you kind of look at what we're doing and what we've got personnel wise after suspensions and injuries, and you look at it and you think to yourself, can Ange actually cut his cloth accordingly to what he's got? But he's not a man for that. He's just not. He's going to plough on and do what he's doing. And if he doesn't get the personnel, he'll go. It's as simple as that. I know that sounds like you're talking about Ange going after like 12 games, but he's not for turning. He is not for turning. He will do this week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. This is the way he plays. So either we get the personnel in or bring him through the youth, because I think that's something they're also looking to do and promote within the club, or we're not going to do it, because he's not going to look and say, okay, I'm 4 or 5 personnel missing today. Maybe we can do this, and this. He's not. He's just going to go out and do what he does. That's his philosophy, and he sticks to it 100%. So
all I'd say with that, I mean, I agree with you, word for word.
It takes some nerve, Lee, doesn't it? You've got to have nerve. Everybody's got to hold their nerve here.
100%.
You've got to hold your nerve.
Them players on that pitch did not play handball today. I did not see handball with my eyeballs today. Did not happen. And this is the thing, like, he's put a team out. This is what worries me the most. He's put a team out there, giving them the instruction to go and play handball, and we created 2 chances. 2.
In his defence, Macca, he was absolutely going mental at the Macca on the touchline, telling them to get up, press forward,
and listening, are they? Yeah, no. And we've had it before. We've had it with Conte. Like we've had it with Jose. Go back, Jose would come in time after time after interviews, and the interviewer would say, "Why are you parking the bus?" And Jose would say, "I haven't instructed them to do that. That's just what they're doing." And you think, "I'll give over, Jose. You are bus park. You love parking." And then, hang on. And then Conte walks up. "Why are you parking the bus?" "Well, I ain't told him to park the bus." Do you know what I mean? Like we're still creating China. I ain't told him to do that, but they're still doing it. And then same crop of players, or the mix of the crop of players today.
The 4 or 5 that have come in. Yeah.
By the 4 or 5 coming, guess what? No handball.
Exactly.
Same against Fulham. The 9 players that he made changes to, we did not play handball against Fulham. This is the problem. So
you hit the nail on the head, Lee. It's the same guys over and over and over.
Same guys. Because they can't play the game. So I'm praised Davis and Dyer and whatever for. I ain't praising them. They did all right, today. But to come back to your point, Crackers, is Ange ain't going to change. So what Ange needs to do is put players in that we've got at our disposal that can do it, like Dorrington as an example, like Donnelly. Like that's what I'm just. The thing that I'm just with Ange today is why put Lo Celso on? Yeah. If he was good enough, if you thought he was good enough, he'd have started, surely, because he's the biggest, attacking midfield cam or whatever.
An alternative to Maddison.
That's what I'm saying. But so he didn't start, and he played a defensive midfielder in that role. Never going to work. Didn't work, did it? Right. To be fair, we've got Jamie Donnelly. He's ripping it up in the league. I tell you what, if he played today and didn't have a great game, no one would be coming out and saying, "Oh, this, that." They would just be saying, "Mate, he's got to learn his youth, and he's one for the future. He's one of our own." And maybe that's what we've got to go with. But I agree with you, Crackers, word for word. But I don't want Ange to change. But what we saw today, unless I'm talking gibberish, was not Ange ball. At all. I didn't see it.
Let me come back to you, Cracks. When you made the point there that you think Ange is for changing in terms of the tactics.
No.
Do you think then, with the 4 or 5 that we're going to be bringing in now over the course of the next couple of months, because that is the reality that we're going to be in, are those players going to adapt, or are we going to be in the same situation where 3, 4 individuals potentially see the will of yet another manager? Because we have been here before, as we've mentioned, Nuno, Mourinho, Conte, where Lee has adequately said there and eloquently said, these managers have come out pre-match, post-match and said, I haven't asked them to play that way. What do you think, Craig?
Well, if Mourinho and Conte told me today was Saturday, I'd go and look at my diary. to be honest. So, honestly, so what they tell you sometimes, you can go, is that true? Is that really true? But I will trust my gut instincts and say, when Ange comes out into a press conference and tells me it's Saturday, even if I can hear the church bells going and smell a Sunday roast cooking, if he tells me it's Saturday, it's Saturday. And so I kind of believe and buy into Ange and what he's telling me more than those two. So this is all about how much bottle have we got as fans, how much bottle have we got as a club, the owners. If he wants to bring some youth players through, like Dorrington, like Phillips, and he wants to play them, and they want to play his type of football, and we get beat a few times because they're trying to play his game, but they're learning the game in general, I'll take that. I've seen enough of Ange as a person and his football to think to myself, okay, if he needs 2 or 3 seasons to get this right and bring the players through, and we have some real downs and some ups in that time, I'll go with it. Football, Rick, has become way too short-termism. Way too short-termism. Like the sky's falling in after Monday and today. It's really not. It is really not. You've just got to go with things over 2-3 seasons. And the problem is, Premier League football now, you don't get that time. You just don't get it. The most successful manager in football, you could argue, Alex Ferguson, took 2.5-3 seasons to get it right at Man United. Come very, very close to the sack. Really did. As I was talking about earlier, Keith Birkinshaw came into Spurs in the late 70s or mid 70s, got relegated because of what had gone on before him. Club stuck with him, stuck with his philosophy, brought the players in that he wanted, and we went on and gave us some football that was unbelievable during the 80s because he identified what he needed. He got it. He got the players. But that took him 4 seasons minimum, and then won the UEFA Cup in '84, FA Cup '81, '82. That side of the game hasn't changed, Rick. That's not changed. Everything else has, the stadiums, the coverage, everything. But football, in some respects, has never changed. You've got to hang your hat, as I said earlier, on a style and go with it. We never done it with Conte when he came in. We was all cock a hoop when he came in, wasn't we? Now we've got a serial winner. Now we've got somebody that can get us this, but he's a Rolls-Royce manager. Now you've got to start buying Rolls-Royce parts and Rolls-Royce service and Rolls-Royce insurance and Rolls-Royce MOTs. We never done it for him. So that was the end of that. He wasn't for us and we weren't for him. And he's a different type of manager. He needs some time to bring in those players, to buy in his philosophy, bring them through the ranks. Does he get that time? I hope he does. I really hope he does. If he starts cutting his cloth according to what he's got in the here and now, like today, he could have put 8-9 behind the ball and like after we went 1-0 up and probably seen that out. But he didn't. He didn't do it. He tried to keep going with his philosophy. Some of those players reverted back to type because they've not had many minutes under him. You get where I'm coming from, yeah? We've just got to go. Monday night, we done the same thing. Ange ball. 9 players literally on the halfway line defending it with 9 players. Never seen it before. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But if you back him and get him his players, it works. It does work. We've just got to be brave. As I said at the start of the season when we took him, you got to be brave. You've got to go through all of this whilst he's building to get where we need to get to. If we don't, and all of a sudden he's let go for whatever reason in a couple of seasons' time, it's start again. It's start again time. We can't just keep starting again. No. Ange is already playing with Conte players, with Mourinho players, with Nuno players. Man alive, he's still got some Poch players in now. So he's just trying to work with 3-4 different types of philosophies and players that have been brought in for different things. We've got to allow the time for him to get this and get this team moulded in his own image.
Cracks, I can't disagree with a word you've said there. Just with relation to Ange in the post-match, he said, look, it's always a tough game here in reference to Wolves. They're going to come on strong. We ran out of legs at the end. It is understandable. A lot of these guys haven't played, as we've referenced. They scored a couple of good goals, a hard one to take. And Wolves came to beat us, and they did. You know, we could have been a bit more positive in the first half. He makes that claim. We scored early. We played conservatively. We had chances that we could have taken. It's part of the pain of football that when things happen in these circumstances, you just got to take it. I can't fault the effort or commitment of the players. It was always going to be a tough game. We just couldn't hold out. And he said, obviously, it's so disappointing, but the fact that he references again that we ran out of legs, but credit to Wolves, they deserved the win. And I think what's been very, very clear from the post-match is the fact that he's been very, very clear in saying that they were a lot more positive, a lot more aggressive with the ball. And he says that he's got to temper that with the fact that we've made a number of changes and we're not going to get the same type of fluency, especially when particularly 3 of your back 4 are virtually starting for the first time. And then we've made a further couple of changes further up the pitch and it's not going to be as fluent. So we have to hope that over the course of these next couple of games, there's going to have to be an adjustment bedding in period, because the problem we've got now is that we're going to have to play on the job. We can't play friendlies. We've got an international break. We're coming against Villa, like Pat said, who play similar to us, one of the highest lines. So I really, really am concerned about how we're going to deploy similar tactics in terms of a high line if we choose to do so, when I take Lee's point that Villa have been really, really poor away from home. But the fact is that, you know, we look at today and that defence and the way we capitulated in the space of 6-7 minutes. To play a high line against Aston Villa, I know we're at home, it's going to be tough. What he did say finally, which again will rattle some fans, is that he felt Eric Dyer had a really good game alongside Ben Davies. He said both of them and Emerson, even for guys like Brendan Pierre, who had really not started many games, for obviously the reason we had a pretty settled lineup, they came in and he thought their commitment, their endeavour to play was there all game. They held it out in the end. I think you could see their feelings towards the end that they didn't let their performance levels drop. I disagree on that personally. But for most of the part, Wolves didn't create many, many chances. He thought Vic had only 1 or 2 saves to make. The first goal was a really good goal and we ran out of steam in those last couple of minutes. But he was very, very clear in saying the crowd of Wolves really drew them on and they were able to lift themselves. And there's no doubt about that. It was asked finally if there are any positives. And he made the point, look, the commitment and the character was the positives. We shouldn't dismiss that. It's a massive effort to go there to an opponent, a strong opponent at home and get 3 points. And I just hope Ange, look, you know, he's very, very good in terms of media, getting us all on side. I think what fans should take out of the comments today is that, you know, it's not been quick enough. It's not been aggressive enough. He's not going to come out in public and throw players under the bus. He's not Jose Mourinho. He's not Antonio Conte. Don't get me started on Nuno. But he's got to keep there a nucleus of players on side because it's all we've got. And Lee makes the point, look, we may look at the youth options available, but at the same time, he's got to rely on what he deems to be Premier League players in order to see Spurs out of a tricky period. But look, what we are going to do, we are going to go for a belated, very, very late first break of our show. Thank God we started an hour earlier. There's over 1,200, 1,300 of you actually watching us live across Twitch, across YouTube, across Facebook and Instagram. So again, thank you so much for all your support. Yeah, we're going to get into the team.
Rick, can I just come in now? And just put one thing into this. Monday night against Chelsea, we very, very nearly won that game. There was a couple of very, very close offsides. Sonny's not quite got his foot onto one, and we could have won that Monday night. And today, for a couple of moments, we could have won that as well. Now, can you imagine if we'd have won Monday night and today, even with all those suspensions? We'd have been on here tonight absolutely cock a hoop, talking about winning the league. The press would have been saying, wow. And I think that just goes to show how finite everything is at this level of football. It is literally on a knife edge, and you fall off that way or you fall off that way. It is. But look, Monday night and today, we wasn't miles off of it. If you're miles off of it, you go, well, we're in trouble here. But we wasn't. It is literally, it's that, isn't it? It's tiny, tiny, tiny margins. Tiny. And you get punished for them. So, look, it feels terrible, but it's not doom and gloom. Because for a couple of tiny little decisions or a couple of moments another way, we'd have been talking about a win against Chelsea with 9 men and a win today. And we'd have been absolutely stratospheric on this show tonight. So it's fine margins.
It's important to make that point. It's 2 losses out of possible 12. We've got to try and put that into some kind of significance. I know it's difficult. Look, we were called straight after the game, so we've got to try and retain a sense of trying to take that emotion out of it and try and be as level-headed and fair balanced as possible, which I think we all try and do. But there's still a lot of games to go. I think, again, the massive concern is that when we share this lineup of today, which many will look at, it's a depleted Spurs side that, quite frankly, has had the absolute carcass ripped out of it to some degree. I'll just give them the team, always broken down with wonderful Ali Gold, forced into, for Spurs, 4 to 5 changes. Look, it's been a difficult week. Spurs, of course, we lost early on Mickey van der Ven, obviously James Maddison later in the week as well. No Christian Romero in defence as he serves the first of a 3-game ban. First, obviously, of course, Udogie as well, so he'll hopefully be back after the international break. Postecoglou making the 4 changes. He had to decide at the back between fit again left back Ben Davies or 18-year-old Ashley Phillips. He opted to go for Ben Davies in terms of experience. Emerson Royale came in for Udogie at left back, as Eric Dyer got the nod there, which may have been surprising to some. But look, Eric Dyer back in that starting lineup. We saw a midfield trio of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Alongside, we had obviously Pap, Matasar, and of course, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. For Spurs leading the line, we had Kulusevski, Sarr, and Johnson as well. So that team read Vicario, Porro, Dyer, Davis, Emerson, Sarr, Basuma, Højbjerg, Kulusevski, Son, Johnson, with a bench of Forster, Phillips, Dorrington, Skip, Benson, Celso, Hill, Donnan, Liz. I think fair to the guys that I think we've covered that starting lineup in general, so I'm not going to go through it again. But what I will just say is the way Spurs did actually set up in the game. Dyer and Davis, Emerson and Højbjerg obviously starting the game. Postecoglou went with a solidity and experience. Some may disagree if it was experience and solidity, given how that result worked out. But Ben Davis centre half, Emerson Royale playing at left back, currently over at a right wing to some periods. Sarr playing left side of the midfield 3 rather than his usual right. And Spurs did get off to the perfect start. Brennan Johnson, first goal in a Spurs shirt, 9th Premier League goal for him. And it was 2 in goal involvements in 2 away league games for him, Palace and Wolves back-to-back. Spurs being the 2 sides to have scored 15-plus away goals in Europe's top 5 leagues, themselves and Bayern Munich standing in that. And it was a really, really well-worked Spurs goal. Lovely move. Sarr plays a low ball cross. Porro dummies it across, but leads to Kulusevski. The Swede back-heels it into Porro's run and tucked down by Johnson. Quite frankly, it's a mouthful, Pat. But it was a perfect start for Tottenham. If I can get to the end of this goal, we've got 2 more still to cover. We spent an hour doing the intro. I spent an hour doing the goal. Pat, it was the perfect start. And I think we all had high hopes, Pat, didn't we, early on, for the fact we could lead?
Pat, tell us all about Pedro Perry.
Pedro Porro.
Porro Pedro. Yeah.
You can tell I've had Peppa Pig on in the background this morning. God help me.
You know what? It was a brilliant goal, man. And it was like, I was so excited because for some reason, I thought Brennan Johnson would score a brace today. I thought today would be like his coming out game because he's been really unlucky Against Arsenal, he looked really bright and he got injured. On Monday against Chelsea, again, he looked really bright and he obviously got sacrificed when we went a man down. So he's been chomping at the bit to have a full run out. And today I thought he was really good in moments. A bit lazy on the defensive side, like when Son was pressing and obviously doing, working from the front, he looked across at him a few times like, why are you not pressing with me? So Son was making the presses and doing his darting runs, so was Kulu, and Johnson wasn't really pushing up like he should have done to really create those triangles and traps, to try and win the ball back as high up the pitch as possible. But offensively, I thought he was really good. He's very direct. He loves taking his man on, and he almost as well got an assist for Son at one point. And also as well, when we were 1-0 up, and I think it's like 65th minute, I thought he scored when he got given an early ball and he took it early and he kind of almost chipped the keeper. So he had a good game in moments, but we started brightly. Dream start considering everything, but for me as well, and I think it was our lead that touched on this, I went into this game positive and optimistic because, you don't want negative vibes. As much as you don't think it does, it seeps in. So when the crowd and everyone doesn't believe you're going to win and you feel sorry for yourself, the players start to feel that. And essentially we scored against the run of play and almost like the players didn't believe that they could have done it. And I want to see more belief, man. I know we're going through a sticky and a rocky patch, but why can't we get a result against City? Why can't we step up and beat Newcastle or whoever? I know, yes, things are looking like, put into context, what is it? Our manager has got 3 managers of the month in a row. And we're second, maybe third or fourth in the league right now. No one expected us to go to the 6th of November and not have lost the game. I know we've lost 2 in a row, but if you look at how many games we've won and not lost up into that, we're still in a brilliant patch and no one expected us as well. I don't believe anyone on here said we would get top 4 this season. So we're still in a fantastic place. I know it's looking a bit, but if we don't believe it as fans and don't go to the ground and sing our hearts out and give these guys the belief, they're not also going to believe it. And I know they're professional players and they should, but they also feed off our energy. Like against Chelsea on Monday, we were singing these guys on, and they even said it. It goes, you guys were amazing. Even when we went a goal down, 2 goals down, you got we really want to push on. Kulu said it. I want to run my hearts off for you guys because you lot were there, with us throughout the whole of the game. And I think we need that now more than ever. I know some of you guys after 2 losses back to back are starting to feel like, oh, maybe this is the same thing but it's not. It's a completely different team, a completely different manager, different principles. He kind of did mess up again, not again, but he kind of did mess up today. But I do believe that going forward, this guy will turn things around. But we need everyone to be basically pushing and together and singing off the same hymn sheet. I don't want to see you guys allowing, the fans, the rivals, they're going to get onto us. Spurs, it's happened again. We've lost 2 games this season. Just chill out. And yeah, I know we all live in the moment and we're all reactionary, but it's not as bad as some are making it out to be. And up until, I know, Ricky, you said Eric Dyer, you said that basically Postecoglou said Eric Dyer played great and had a good game. He did for 92, 93 minutes. But unfortunately today, the game was 97 minutes. And those last 4 or 5 minutes where he switched off or made a bad pass or whatever, it cost us. So these guys need to know that we play for the full, 99, 100, 96, 97, whatever it is these days with VAR. So,
Pat, Ricky, Lee, let me ask you, how old's Brennan Johnson?
22.
22. He's 22. Udoji is 21?
Yep, 21, 22.
Papsar, how old is he?
22.
These are children. They are literally children. They're 21, 22. In the next 4 or 5 years, they will grow up so much. You're right. These are kids. They are literally kids. I've got kids older than them. I've got shoes older than them. I've got a son the same age or thereabouts as Udoji, as Brennan Johnson, as Papsar. And I still have to speak to him about doing things. Tidy your room. Bring your cups out from your room. Put that in the dishwasher. Why are you throwing that in the sink? Honestly, these are kids and you're putting them in to this spotlight, into this cauldron, into the Premier League and everything. They're getting picked apart by us on pods, by stadiums full of 60, 70,000 people and the press and the radio and everything. It's tough. They've got to grow up quick. But to be doing what they're doing at that age is damn impressive. Damn impressive. So all you do is you cut them a bit of slack. The press won't, and stadiums won't, away stadiums won't. But if we as fans of this club can go, okay, look, he's 21, he's 22, in 4 or 5 years' time, he'll get it. He'll get to make this run. He'll get to press. He'll get to drop. So you just have to allow them a little bit. Do you see what I'm saying? These are kids. And if you stick with them and you go with them and you say, okay, when you make mistakes, I'm not going to kill you. I'm not killing you for that. Learn from it. And then next time you'll go, oh, last game I done that. I won't do it this time. This is what I'm talking about. All this long-termism that we've really, really got to buy into. We've got to give Ange time, the team time, the squad time, and the players within that squad time. And then let go. Listen, people like Brennan Johnson don't make anywhere near the amount of mistakes as some of the players that are 28, 29. And you think to yourself, you're 28, 29 years old and you're still making them mistakes. Come on, you're not for us.
But I think that's why, Cracks. Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? You've got to go with it.
You come back in there, Cracks. I think that is why there is the sheer utter frustration that the same players, Cracks, that have been here for 6, 7, 8 years are still here and are still playing, Cracks.
Yeah, no. But then that now you're like bringing it into a different realm of
cool.
Is the club needs to look at that and say, why are we still giving this man a wage? He's 27, he's 28, and he's just keep making those mistakes. We've got to bite the bullet here and just go, thank you very much, but we're going somewhere that you can't come with us. So off you go to wherever, and we bring somebody through. And do you know what? Every young player doesn't work out. But if you can give one of those a chance, every chance to bring them through, to develop and become something, then wow. Listen, Harry Kane got his chance just by accident, didn't he? Because of a couple of injuries. In he came, got his chance. Gareth Bale, we nearly sold to Birmingham at one stage because he just could not. He just could not get his chance. It couldn't happen for him. But he worked, and then he became the player he did. So I'm just saying, give these kids like Brennan Johnson, Udogie, Sasa, you've got to give them a chance to actually have their chance. So but it's tough. In the short term, it's tough because they make these mistakes and they don't quite get things right. But you got to give them a go. You have to give them a go.
What man that isn't a kid leave and come around to you is Yves Bissouma. Just very quickly before I ask you about Bissouma, great last time tackle by Davis and I, Aït-Nouri in the Spurs box. A good save from Ricari to push Lemina shot across the face of goal. But I think during that period where we did see Spurs, quite frankly, could not get hold of the ball. As I mentioned earlier, Postecoglou screaming at the players to get up as they dilly-dallied with the ball. And Bissouma really, I don't mean disrespectful, he was the main, I would say, culprit and culture of that. This is a guy that, as Pat has said, he has reset that midfield, right? This is a guy that has come in my opinion, since Ange's new era at Tottenham and totally reinvented Tottenham in the midfield. Now, he got a yellow card, which now, of course, means he'll miss the Villa game. I think many would have seen that coming in. It worries me, Lee, just how much he has gone off the boil since the Luton game. Since, of course, obviously he went off there. And you know what? It's worrying. I don't know. Can you put your finger on it, Lee, as to what has happened to Bissouma's form and this alarming drop-off since that Luton game? Because he has been, no doubt about it, up until that Luton game, one of not the players of Tottenham's season, but of the Premier League season. So what has happened, Lee, to Basuma, in your opinion?
Confidence, maybe. He seems like a bit of a confidence player, arm around the shoulder guy. Maybe goes out clubbing too much. I don't know. Maybe he likes the London lot. Look, I don't know. I mean, it's a mystery, to be fair. I mean, it comes down to maybe a confidence thing. Like Pat said, I mean, Pat, you said that you saw him do one take on or whatever. I didn't see him do any, so I must have been having a wee or whatever at that point. Because, he's just a shadow of himself. Literally a shadow of himself. Like you're spot on, Rick. Since he got sent off at Luton, he ain't been the same player. Definitely ain't been the same player. And actually, it's a little bit like, all them years ago when Manchester United done the treble and Roy Keane got booked in the semi-final and he knew he was going to miss the final, and he still had an unbelievable game because he left it all out there, because he did it for the team. Whereas today with the Basuma scenario, nowhere near as much as at stake, of course. But he got booked and he just kind of whatever, and then he got subbed, and then he got substituted off, didn't he? 15 minutes later or whatever. So yeah, it's just a mad result all round. It's really difficult. It's hard. It's a hard one to do because it's very, very difficult to get away from the fact that we're missing this man here, Van der Ven. We're missing this man here, Romero. We're missing this man here, Doggy. We're missing Maddison. There's no justification for me today to go, oh, it weren't because of them. Leave it. It was. The reality is, it's a completely different game, isn't it? If all of them four are playing, it is a completely different game.
It just worries me, though. Yeah, Macca, I can't disagree with a word you said there. But the worrying thing for me is the way that, he's played so in himself since that red card a month ago, Basuma. And this is a guy that, quite frankly, for me, was running the games in the early part of the season. And he's capable for me of so much more. I just hope we get that player back and we're not here saying...
Maybe all the rival fans are right. Maybe we haven't played anyone. Maybe we haven't played anyone like Liverpool. Maybe we haven't played anyone, like Arsenal away. Maybe we haven't played any, maybe we had played the bottom four who currently have beaten Newcastle as well in the top six. Do you know what I mean, mate? Maybe, I don't know. It can't be a coincidence, can it? I just think everything that's gone on this week has been to derail the crazy train. And that's football, isn't it? With all jokes aside, that is football. And that is the reason why we can't get too carried away and we can't get too doom and gloom, because it'll be somewhere in the middle. It's very difficult to be level-headed. If a result goes our way tomorrow in terms of Liverpool or Villa not getting a result in their respective fixtures, if Newcastle lose today, you look at the table and you go, do you know what? We're 1 point off the top. If Chelsea take a point off of City tomorrow, we're like, wait, we're 2 points off the top, 1 point behind Arsenal. No one thought in our life we'd be in any type of that scenario, and we're decimated. We've got 15, 14 days or whatever to regroup, and we go again. I think that's it. Do you know what I mean? It's hard, but that's the only reason that we've got. I mean, if like Cracker said earlier, the thing that disappointed me the most today, didn't see Ange ball, and I thought we played better with 9 men against Chelsea than what we did late. And that's the disappointing factor that I can't put my finger on, other than, it's not even personnel, because we have the same players on the pitch. Two less, by the way. Yeah.
I mean, going into half-time, look, it's mad. I shared the half-time stats there for the live viewers there. It was 9 shots to 2 in Wolves' favour, the 2 shots to 1. Spurs still dominating the possession, 63%. Spurs had a good passing ratio over Wolves, 357 to 198. But it was just a feeling going into half-time. I know you guys agree that this game was going to slip away from us had Ange not delivered some form of a really positive, motivational second-half team talk. Because, I think the general consensus among Spurs fans, and I don't want to keep reverting anything back to online and the stratosphere of social media, but there was that negative feeling setting in from half-time. And Mackie, you said it early on in the show, that we're going to concede, we're going to lose this game, the players coming in not adequate and good enough. And to be fair, that is the way the second half went. Now, look, as we look at that second half, it's no coincidence that press was not to the usual standards that Wolves started to hold of the second half. Our shot in pressing had been so off during the game. And like Pat said it earlier, for Villa now, we're without Basuma, Maddison, Van der Ven, Romero in what many call the high line derby. Villa love playing a high line, and Spurs would love playing a high line under Ange Postecoglou. So I'm not sure how that will
Hang on a
possibly
minute.
change.
The many call. I mean, I love you, mate, but the many call it the high line derby is the best line. The high line. It's the
I
best
like
line you've
that.
said. Many call it the
It will be the high. It will be. Listen, after today, it won't be the Highline Derby anymore. Let me tell you. But
Rick, I thought it was a stretch of the truth when people were saying the Crystal Palace Brighton is like the M52 derby or something. Now we've got the Highline Derby. Honestly,
Clip that up and post it when it comes around, will you? It won't be, can I just say, it may have been the Highline Derby up until we actually saw the end of the game. I don't think we'll play the Highline after today. I might be wrong with Dyer and Davis in defence. But, substitution-wise, Benton and Cole replacing Sarr, Matt Doherty coming on for Semedo, and then Spurs had a chance. Son putting away Højbjerg down the right. First-time pass, couldn't connect. Lo Celso O'Brien coming on for Basuma and Johnson. And then Wolves grabbing the equaliser, guys. Do I just say this is a really good goal, Pat? Because Sarabia takes a pass into his stride, superbly volleys it home. And just a moment stuns you. Macca said it, if it was Messi earlier, or Cracker said it, we would have been talking about that goal for a week. Yes, there's definitely culpable people within the elements of how that goal came about. And, many will look at the fact and allude to the fact that it results from Dyer unnecessarily playing the pass out of the back, gifting possession again. I don't know why we hadn't played a long free kick up the field. I don't know why we just didn't do that. I mean, Pat, how much blame do you put on the players in the build-up to that rather than the actual genuine quality of the finish?
It's a bit of both. I'm not gonna lie. When he scored, I was shell shocked. I couldn't believe it. I thought almost maybe not. I kind of written rules off. I thought, you know what, they've played well. They're just not going to score today. I was like, we're kind of going to see this out. We haven't been great, but we'll leave with the 3 points. But when he because the pass was fizzed into him, and then he obviously controlled it and then just whacked. It was such a brilliant first touch and finish. I was shocked, and obviously the commentators loved it. They celebrated their goals. I'm like, I thought you were meant to be impartial as commentators. But on TNT, they were fully celebrating.
It was a brilliant finish.
It was
an outstanding finish.
It was an amazing goal. I can't lie to you. I was like, wow, that is some absolute saucy techers. Like to fizz it in like that. And obviously Vicario for me is such an amazing goalkeeper. And he almost got to it, but he had no chance. That was such a good finish. We are the architects.
Patrick, does that make it the saucy techers derby now?
Next time we play them.
I'm never going to live that down. I'm never going to live that down, am I? I'm never going to live that down. The Highline Derby. God help me, Pat. Carry on, please. Let him forget.
Yeah, no, sorry. We are the architects of our own demise. I do get it that obviously Ange wants us to play a certain way, but sometimes you've got to be a bit cute as players. And like Lee said, and I think Crackers has alluded to it, sometimes just boot the ball up pitch. It's like we were doing too much. We was inviting too much pressure on. We were passing it around, fizzing it back to the goalkeeper. Then the goalkeeper's playing it to players who aren't really that comfortable on the ball, and they're trying to turn. And then you get Eric Dyer obviously giving away possession, Højbjerg giving away possession, Emerson Royale giving away possession. So it's we did kind of. I mean, they've still got to finish their chances, but we did allow them into, and also it annoyed me as well because every time TNT, as in BT Sports now, they were replaying or showing something, every time they turned it back, we're giving the ball away. So at the end of the game, we gave the ball away so many times, and I kept missing who was actually giving the ball away. So maybe if they would have showed us that, I would have been fuming more at Dyer or Davis, because literally every time we had the ball and they showed a replay, when it came back into the TV bit, they had the ball again. I'm like, what is going on? We just couldn't keep the ball. So something's got to give because we can't keep doing this. And Wolves are a good team, but there are better teams that will punish us even more if we keep allowing them the ball in their final third.
Yep.
So great finish. I say it through gritted teeth. They did deserve it, to be fair, but it's just annoying because essentially we gave them the game as well.
Absolutely, I can't disagree with that. I mean, just if I can come around to you, Cracks, you were defending earlier very much, it's the fact it's a young side. One player that isn't young is Eric Dyer. I am conscious that Eric will get a lot of heat anyway for the fact that Eric Dyer is playing here. And again, I want to mention the fact that Dyer was, in my opinion, brilliant against Chelsea. He was. And
Mhm.
it's not the guy's fault he has got a lack of pace. And it's also not the guy's fault that he's being picked by him, Postecoglou. Let me just make that very, very clear. But the fact is that if you watch Dyer on both the goals defensively, can you really tell me that one of Phillips or not Dorrington can defend that better? Because I'm really sorry to say, I just don't think the tactical awareness is there for the way in which Ange wants to play. Is that fair, me saying that, when I've not seen Dorrington or Phillips play a single minute yet for the first team, and they are two very, very youth players that arguably we don't know how they're going to step up? But I just want to be fair on the point that I just feel, why could they have not had a chance when, once again, we've seen the same Dyer over the course of 6-7 years, and ultimately it's the same story. Is that fair, me saying that, Cracks?
Yes and no, Rick. I actually like Eric Dyer because he will give you everything.
Can I say, lovely? Can I say he looks like to me an absolute gent of a person.
Yeah.
Can I say he does care? He wants to play football. I'm sure he wants to be successful at Tottenham. This is nothing against him personally, because I think he's a really, really lovely guy.
Correct.
And this is why it's hard doing this show, Cracks, because we're having to have an opinion on someone that I don't know personally. I don't wish anything ill-willed against him. I'm sure he's a lovely, lovely person. But purely on footballing terms, I don't know what he's still doing out there. And that's not his fault. He is not choosing to pick himself, but the manager is picking him. And in my opinion, he's not good enough for what we want to do, Cracks. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, listen, he might be the loveliest lad in the world. I've met him once or twice, and he's a lovely lad. And all I can say, if one of my daughters brought him over and said, "Dad, this is Eric," I'd be delighted, because he's a lovely lad. But do you know what? Football's not about people and who they are in some respects as people. Personality wise and their attitude, yes, it is. But I don't know. Look, I don't want to kill him, because Romero versus Dyer is absolutely no contest whatsoever. But guess what? Romero's not there today. Why? Because he can't hold his head. So he should have been there today. So there's an argument to actually give Romero more of a kicking than Eric Dyer. Do you see what I'm trying to say? It's like, I love Romero. He's an absolute Rolls Royce of a defender, but I think it's something like 35-40% of the season you're going to lose him through this, that, and suspensions and everything else. So, and then in comes Eric Dyer, bless him, which sounds really patronising, who can't quite give you what you need, but he gives you everything. I think he falls very much into the same category as Harry Maguire. When he comes in at Man United, he gives everything. He will give you everything. Is that enough? It might not be. So, yeah, I want to kill him in some ways, figuratively speaking, with how he plays. But you can't fault his attitude. You absolutely cannot fault him. But is his ability as a footballer enough? No, it's not. Romero, is his ability as a footballer enough? Well, hell yes, it is. But in other ways, he's letting you down. So it's now about trying to find those players that give you that personality and the person they are, and the footballer. Now, Mickey van der Ven, when you look at him, you think to yourself, well, there's a player that gives you something as a personality, and he backs it up with how he plays. You kind of think to yourself, can we actually put Romero into Eric Dyer's body? I mean, could we have Eric Romero? that would be perfect, wouldn't it? So, yeah, football's a tough game, Rick. Yeah. It's a horrible game. If you're not cutting the mustard, then you're gone. At this level, you've got to be cutting the mustard, and if you can't, thank you. You're a lovely lad, but that's just not doing it. So, Oh, no, but when you get to the point of bringing in Dorrington or Phillips, they're unproven. And this is a tough league. So if you've not got that, you've got to get that experience at some stage, of course. But you dip players in and you dip them out and you dip them in and you give them 10 minutes and you give them 20 minutes and da-da-da-da. To throw somebody in like Dorrington in today, and if he makes a mistake, you kill him. You absolutely kill him, because we'll be on shows like this, social media, Talk Sport tomorrow morning, Sky Sports on Monday afternoon. It's tough. It is very, very tough. So you can see why Andrew's gone with somebody like Dyer, because he's got that experience. But I don't know. Over to you, Mr. Levy. Go and buy somebody else that you can throw in, like a Mickey van der Ven. But isn't Eric Dyer? It's tough. It is very, very tough.
It is indeed. Before I look to close out on the final question to you all, Lee, I just want to give you the opportunity, and you probably don't want me to ask you the opportunity to do this. The last kick of the game, Spurs lose the game itself. The last kick of the game, Wolves grabbing, of course, that last second goal. You mentioned it earlier. It's a complete mess in the middle. We switch off. It's worked to Lemina, who rolled it past Vicario. Again, Dyer at fault, players at fault, not just him. Lee, why are we second game in a row now when we're going for adversity? There's not the manager, there's not the captain, someone getting a hold of them for that final 60 minutes, just saying, keep your head. Look, 1-1, we're winning 1-0. 1-1, in my opinion, wouldn't have been the worst result. Wouldn't have been the worst result away to Wolves that have beaten Man City, that have got a point against Newcastle. Just keep our heads. Do not do anything stupid. Why, Lee, do you think there wasn't that leadership, that character out there? Somebody getting hold of players and say, look, just keep it calm. See this out. Because for me, as soon as they equalised, Macca, I don't know if you agree, I feared what was coming.
I did as well. I think probably all of us did, to be honest. And I think you just nailed on the head. You've got a leadership group that has been disbanded as soon as Ange Postecoglou's walked through the doors at Hotspur Way. That leadership group was disbanded of the likes of Hugo Lloris, Eric Dyer, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and Harry Kane. And replaced by Romero, Maddison, and Son. Now, Romero weren't there today, Maddison weren't there today, and Son, most will say that weren't there today either, because he was a bit AWOL, to be fair, as we said at the beginning of the show. So actually, when you look at the fact that Son's missing all his leadership mates, and actually the ones that have actually come into the team, you've still got Hugo in and around a football club there today, but Dyer's there as the previous leadership team. Højbjerg's there as previous leadership team. This is the problem, and it's not. I'm not saying that Dyer and Højbjerg are just the problem, but it's the problem of leadership is what you were talking about, and there wasn't any on the pitch today. There wasn't any. Now the second goal comes from Pierre-Emile Højbjerg not tracking the goal scorer. Go back and watch it back again and put it on pause, MNF style, and have a look at what happens. He could have tracked that runner from virtually the halfway line. It was in the semi, the centre circle, but in our half, and he could have tracked it. All he had to do was run with him. That's all he had to do. He just stopped and let the bloke just carry on running, and he gambled and bang, scored. And if Højbjerg tracks him back, it doesn't happen. And to be fair, it gets the same with the Sarabia goal. I butchered his name. Sorry, the Spanish lad that come on, who's absolutely brilliant finish.
Sarabia. Yep.
Yeah, Sarabia. But at the end of the day, all Bentancur needs to do is track his runner, and he didn't do that either. So this is the thing. And when Celso hit that shot, it was a good shot, by the way, from Celso. It was the second shot on target that we had, and their keeper saved it. All we had to do was keep the ball.
Yep.
That's all we had to do. We play handball, still play handball, but just keep the ball. Just keep the ball. 1-2, flowing it around, going forward, coming backwards to keep the ball. Get Kulusevski strong as an ox. He's like, let's keep it in the corner. I could have done anything, didn't it? Absolutely nothing, because we couldn't keep the ball today. I'm actually surprised at them passing accuracy stats that you put up earlier, saying that we're at like 90% passing accuracy. It didn't look like that to me. mean, perception is reality, isn't it? You know, I just thought that. I thought we were lackluster. I thought we were back to last season wide, and there's no leadership on the pitch. And I don't want to. I'm not having a go at Son. He's one of my favourite players. Son is. I absolutely love the bloke. But
Lee, perhaps there's some merit in actually having something to say to Son Monday morning when Postecoglou pulls these players in. If I was manager, I'd probably be turning around and saying to Romero, because of you and your antics on Monday night, that's happened today. And if you're on the pitch, that doesn't happen. And turning around to Sonny and saying to him, Sonny, you're captain. You're missing your 2 vice captains today. Where was you in that last 10 minutes getting hold of Bentancur, getting hold of Dyer, getting hold of Davies, and just saying to them, boys, see this game out, because they're the senior players. They're the players that have been there and done that. Sonny's the player that should be going over to the kids that are in the team and saying to them, listen, we're 1-0 up. We've got 6 minutes to go, 7 minutes to go. Do this. Do not do that. Do not do that. So, you know, Sonny I love, but maybe he does need a little bit of a telling that he never quite got hold of them today. Nobody's above being told what's what.
Go on, Macca.
Sorry, just come back in on that. Look, we're talking about again. Go and have a look at the game again. Like, we're talking about a game here. It's like we've played the highest line that we can ever play, like we were playing against Chelsea the other week. We've got 2 balls over the top when we should have been keeping the ball. That did not happen. That didn't happen today. We didn't get done with balls over the top against a high line because we were attacking and going for it. It got done because we were divvying on the ball, playing stupid passes out of touch, and not tracking runners. This is basic stuff. And that's why I'm getting frustrated, because we're talking about it as if we've seen handball. We have not seen handball today. Son should have been getting it. If he's got 2 of his leaders missing, why haven't they got other 2 leaders then? Who else were there today? That's what Son should be doing, getting around these players, like Cracker said, and saying, where are you today? What are we doing? It's not as if we've played the normal way with different personnel that couldn't do it. We didn't play that way. We played last season football, and we know what happens last season football. We get beat. That's exactly what happened. We got what we deserve today, and then players need to go and chew on it and make it right in 15 days.
I agree. Look, guys, I'm going to try and close it. I'm going to ask you all for one final question each. Can I just quickly say, Pedro Porro, I thought he worked very, very hard down the right-hand side today. One of the very few that should come out of real praise of the game. Ben Davies on making a real couple of big blocks. I know Lemina got behind him for the winning goal. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, look, again, I said this before, industrious display, but again, see today the immaturity at times of Pierre giving away the ball, saying that, you associate him with keeping the ball, wasn't done on a regular basis. Lee mentioned it earlier, Dejan Kalajdzic, just not quite sure what happened to him. Not enough in that final third. Heung-min Son, many will look at the fact that he deserves better quality of service, which I agree. But at the same time, I think, as we've said here, being the leader, being the captain, it is up to you to also make those opportunities. Harry Kane did it here for a number of years. I'm not trying to compare them, say they're the same player. But again, I just think as a whole, players that are captains of football clubs, as Macca, you'll know through leadership, got to lead by example, stand up when needed, stand up for adversity. That's what we need Son to do right now. Bentancur came on for half an hour or so. Go on.
Can I just add to that quickly? I know you want to move on, right, and finish up and stuff. But look, for me, you talk about that. When things are going bad or not as how you plan, that's when real leaders show their colours.
Absolutely.
I absolutely think that Ange will get it right. I think Sonny is a brilliant captain. He's the best captain for our football team and our football club right now. So I'm not saying that he shouldn't be captain and all that stuff. Like, it's not extreme here, people in the comments. I'm just making a comment about today's match. He will be brilliant enough to move forward as some of the key mistakes we looked at. But also as well, we've got 15 days to put it right. And in 15 days, like we've just seen in 7 days or 6 days what's happened to Tottenham. Watkins could get injured on international duty. Right? the David Luiz, not David Luiz, Luiz guy that plays in the centre.
Douglas Luiz, yeah.
Douglas, he might snap his hamstring tomorrow, like VDV did. Like, yeah, so we're worrying about saying in 2 weeks that may or may not happen, right? It's just pointless doing that. But what we've got to do as a football club, as an entity, as a community, as a together, is to say, right, okay, where are we going in the next 15 days? Let's try and get behind where we are. So we're talking about transfers. Forget transfers. What's the point? We've got to play 9 games before the transfer window even opens. What is the point in talking about that? Let's talk about and work on, like, as a club, not us as fans, talk about what we want, but the club themselves and whatever, level-headed. How are we going to beat Villa? How are we going to do that? At home, we owe them. Let's go and beat them and put 3 points on the board. You go and have a look at some of that. The fact you're way inclined. You've got City, Chelsea tomorrow. They're going to drop some points. First game back after the international break. Premier League match week 13. What is it? It's Man City, Liverpool. I mean, Jesus, there's no one. Arsenal got Brentford away. I mean, these are hard games. So we go and beat Villa, and then these guys drop some points, and all of a sudden we're back top. I mean, this is how football works. So sorry for the ban. It's just like the negativity is just constant. It's just doing my nuts in.
I know, mate. I know. Listen, and again, you were one that said that at the time when we're losing these 5-6 players. You know, when you're seeking advice out there, go to Lee McQueen. We lost the 5-6 players, and Lee's going, "We're gonna be fine. Don't worry, fucking keep your heads."
Yeah, but I'm not right, am I? Clearly, I'm wrong.
No. We still love you for it, though. We still love you for it. Don't get me wrong. Look, just to finish up, Bentancur, a couple of nice touches, but Lee said it. You know, he was there, unfortunately, involved in the couple of goals that Spurs did concede. One of them, at least. Brian Hill coming on, plenty of energy. Gino Lascelles so unlucky not to score towards the end. Look, the reality is, whether we like it or not, we have to rely on some of these guys that weren't playing regularly when we do return for, of course, that game against Villa. Final question to you all, because, like I say, we are heading into an international break. Look, Cracks, I'm going to start with you. We're going to end it with Lee and Pat in the middle here. Postecoglou so far, he's facing ultimately, the biggest challenge so far of what's been a short spell in charge at Spurs. He's missing several key players. When you go back a couple of weeks ago, and don't banter me for this, I know you're going to laugh at me for saying this, some may have felt Tottenham were in a title race, or, arguably now we could end the weekend only a point inside the top 4. If Champions League qualification was the height of the ambition, it would feel completely reactionary to be going at the team right now in relation to what Tottenham have done so far. 2 losses out of a possible 12 and the points that we've picked up. But given the fact, Cracks, we've had a week where we've had an extremely damaging set of injuries, suspensions, how big a job now has Postecoglou got on his hands in these next couple of weeks to get the players back on board and lift them now for for this next part of the season?
Rick, if you piss your pants a couple of times, it doesn't mean you're incontinent, does it? It just, do you know what I mean? It's just, it's a couple of blips. We knew this was coming. We said it was coming. Before he got started, we said we'd accept that. Last season, we finished 8th under Conte. No one enjoyed going to the game. No one enjoyed watching Spurs. We played AC Milan in the Champions League, 1-0 down from the first leg, came back to the lane, 60,000 people, and he defended a 1-0 loss. He was still defending. And everybody came out of that stadium absolutely numb, properly numb, but we didn't even give it a go. So, yeah, the piss your pants derby, as someone's just said, correct. So, look, couple of tough losses this week, but still in the top 4. Everybody's looking forward to watching Spurs and going over there again. The atmosphere is good. We like the manager. Generally, the players are doing well. So I'm not looking at this week. I'm looking at everything. From where we was last season, I'll take what we done on Monday with 9 men and having a defence line on the halfway line, giving it a go over that last season all day long. So, yeah, it's tough. It is tough, but we're going to have some tough moments. We'll have some really, really tough moments this season, some ups and some downs. But the general direction of transit with us is good. So keep going, keep going, keep with it.
Bless your cracks. You've tried to be the therapist that we need. We can't thank you enough. Pat, to come over to you as we look to close this one. Look, I think many will have felt Monday to some degree, in some people's eyes, has been a part derailment of the season so far. Many will also feel we've got to scrape through to January, which I know Lee desperately disagrees with at the moment. There's a lot still to play out between now and January, as we mentioned, 8-9 games. I think Andrew's shown so far he's more than worthy of a full backing in terms of what January looks like. But we will be okay, but we have got a period here where we've got to try and ride it through. But I think the key is, Pat, I don't know if you would disagree or are with me on this, that, look, we know where we are. We saw what we were capable of in the first 10 games and how good we can be if everything goes in our favour. But I do think games like today, moments like today, is a helpful reminder that it is going to take, whether people will like it or not, a couple of windows to get arguably where he wants us to be, where fans want us to be, where ultimately the club want us to be. But I think the confidence that we can see, Pat, is that most certainly Ange knows how to get there from what we saw in the opening 10 games. Am I fair to say that, Pat?
Yeah, no, definitely. I said it, I touched on it when I had a bit of a random rant earlier on, and someone said, am I going to get to my point? But my point was that this is a rebuild and it is a process and it is a cycle. Them idiots down the road were saying trust the process for like 3 years. We're literally 4 months in, and people got to remember that. Andrew's almost catapulted himself and fast forwarded. The media love him, but they will build him up to bring him down. So please don't like fall for everything they say. Yeah, they love him right now, but it's us that have got to love him long term, because when things do get a bit rocky, if we as fans don't back the club and back the manager, no one else will. So he's won 3 manager of the month back to back to back, or 3-peat. Like, that's never been done by a brand new manager in the first 3 months. And obviously everything was great up until Monday. The football on Monday, you know, we went down, but we went down fighting. Today was a different kind of loss, but ultimately, already in 4 months, we have a brand of play, a style of play, an identity. We know our first 11. We know who we can rely on more often than not. And it's going to take time, you know. At the end of the day, all the fans are behind him. All of us collectively seem to be on the same page. I'm not seeing the infighting like I saw in the summer and last season. Today was tough, of course it was. It was annoying, it was frustrating, but also let's put it into context. We lost like 5 or 6 starters. We had people coming in that we ideally didn't want to be playing. Like, as much as, you know, I'm a positive guy, I'm always going to back whoever's got a Spurs shirt on. But if you ask me honestly, did I want Eric Dyer starting today? No, I didn't. Did I want Emerson Royale starting where we started today? No, I didn't. But obviously we got behind the team and they just didn't have enough. It's going to take a lot. And just someone who hasn't, like a Eric Ten Hag, changed his philosophies and his principles to suit the players that are there. He wants to play his way. You know, we're going to live by the sword and die by the sword. Some of these guys are going to make mistakes. Annoyingly, they're the guys that are making mistakes time and time again. But we have to, you know, like Crackers are saying, we've got transfer windows to hopefully sort that out. At the end of the day, you know, for anyone listening from the management side of things, recruitment side, you guys have got to make sure you back Ange Postecoglou. Make sure you bring in the players that he needs so we can actually play. Because, you know, football injuries and suspensions are a part of football. Let's have it right. You never go a full, you know, 38 games without injuries, without suspensions, without people losing form and whatever. You need adequate backups. And right now at centre-back, we don't have that. Right now in the middle of the park, from a creative standpoint, we don't have that. Dare I say, what happens to Sonny? Something goes, you know, happens to him. Richarlison's out as well right now. So we need some more players, man. But it's early days, it is, I know. We've got a tough run in, but I don't think, you know, people are doom and gloom. We're going to look, where's the next points coming from? This is football. Bournemouth just beat Newcastle 2-0. Like, things can happen, and we've got a lot more quality than them. Like, come on, like, don't. And sometimes I see fans, and you're like, you're downplaying your own team. You're like, you're bantering with people that are calling us Spursy. You know, I don't understand it, because other teams lose games, and I don't see no narratives. Chelsea have lost how many before they beat us? How shit have they been? And I don't see no Chelsea or, oh, it's Chelsea, it's this, it's that. So, like, stop playing up to the bullshit that people are putting on us. And like I said as well, protect Big Ange, because the media will build him up to bring him back down, trust me. So let's just stay together. It's going to take a lot more than 4 months. And, you know, we're not going to go the whole season undefeated. Yes, 2 losses, and it does hurt, but come on, put things into context. Like, to be in the top 4 right now, no one would have imagined that. and we deserve to be there. We play some really good football. You know, we've had, out of the 4 months so far, we've had 2 players win Player of the Month and just won, you know, 3 Managers of the Month, as I said. We are where we should be right now in terms of we deserve to be there, but it's not going to be all smooth. It's been plain sailing so far up until this week. Kind of a reality check to a degree, but at the end of the day, we've got more than enough. I just need some of the guys to step up, like Lo Celso, Brian Gill. I didn't think Brian Gill was bad today, by the way, but you know, your Lo Celsos, these guys that are coming in need to show us more now. But other than that, yeah, Ricky, in terms of what you said, I just think the fans need to pull together, and I need to see a bit more, not like, you know, people saying we was going to win the league after 10 games, 8 games. For me, I thought that was stupid. That's not reality. But also at the same time, I don't need to see all the negativity I see. Like when lineups announce, oh, we've lost this game. It's like, come on, man. Do you know what I mean? Believe in the team and actually try and push and build something. It's going to take a while. Like, this is the first year of a brand new rebuild. It's going to take a lot longer than 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's all I've got to say, man, to be fair.
Pat, thank you so much, mate. Lee, let's close it with you. I think, you know, what's coming out of both Cracks and Pat so far is the fact that, look, we are only 3 months into what was a new project where many coming into it feared what was to come. We won't go through what everyone predicted us to finish in the tables. We won't do that on this show yet. But what I would say is that there was a lot, let's be honest about it, Lee, of negativity going to the start of the season. And the ultimate thing is now, look, after 10, 11 games, some have changed that narrative because they've seen the way we play. They've seen the style we play in. They see the belief of some of those players that they're giving back to the fans. The 11 you see out there today is not 11 we've seen every week. We know we've got injuries to come through, suspensions to come through. But how importantly, you mentioned at the start, and I want to close it on this because you're very much about this. How important, in your opinion, is it that the fans do stick with the players, with the manager, with the squad? Because it's a season. It's not 2 games. It's not 10 games. It's not 20 games. It's a season. How important is that, Lee, in your opinion, as we look to close this one?
Sorry, you broke up a bit when you said who you got to stick with them. The fans, you got to stick with them. Is that what you asked? Or the
fans, the players. I just mean generally the fans.
I mean, of course. Look, you know what I'm all about. Of course, you've got to stick together. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like to start thinking about we're going to like start sacking Ange or like, you know, having like tear ups. We've had a massive change. Look, this guy is back the next game, mate. The pace, the power of Udogie, he's coming back. We've got other people that are going to have to step up, as Patrick said, and for the next game as well. But we've also got 15 days. We've been pointing out in the comments before that game comes around. It's at home. You know, a lot of people will be wanting it. My biggest disappointment today, it's not about the future and Ange out or Inink out or, you know, Levy ain't done this or whatever. It's not about that for me today. For me today, the biggest disappointment is we did not see Ange ball. And I've seen it twice under Ange, once against Fulham and once today. So now twice, right? We've seen it. And that is my biggest disappointment because Ange come out and said, it's not who we are, mate. If we went down to 5 men, we'd still have a crack. Now, I'm throwing this back out to Ange and all them players today. Come and answer me this against Villa, right? We'll see what happens because you did not have a crack today. You did not have a go today, and that is the biggest disappointment. And that's why I'm you know, frustrated and furious in that particular way. Other than that, you know, the players coming in and out, we have to manage that. That is leadership. That is management. That is obviously what we've got. But the reality is that we didn't have a go and we didn't have a crack. And I said to my girls, I've got an house at the 12:30 kickoff. I was watching it, and when we scored, obviously went mad as everyone did. And I just went after 10 minutes. I went, this looks like last season. And we all know what happened last season. And that's the disappointment. Rectify it, get it right. And unfortunately, I'm going to say it, and everyone's going to cane me for it. You can @ Lee McQueen. We go again. That's how it works. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's the right way to close it. Cracks, thank you so much, mate. David coming on. We will continue and rise again, right, Cracks?
Rick, go and have a great birthday, you flaming galah. Listen, don't worry about... Yeah, enjoy your lunch. Don't worry about all this old nonsense. You've given everybody nearly 2 hours. You go and have some you time, and I will see you Thursday night.
I know. Special night Thursday night. You'll know all about it if Thursday goes where you want to see it. So, Cracks, bless you, man. Looking forward to seeing you. Pat, my
Thank
man,
you.
I'll be seeing you Thursday night as well, mate. Many thinking what's going on here. You'll know Thursday night, please, God, hopefully. Pat, thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate you coming on for this one. Strong words, Pat, from you on this one. Big, big words. Let's hope the team are listening, mate. Let's hope they're all listening to that because we need to hear it. Thank you so much, mate. Top man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. So yeah, Thursday night we party, hopefully double celebrations. So
Bless you, man.
yeah, and everyone that likes me, follows me, you know, on the socials. I'm uploading some new content on my channel because I've kind of neglected it, being here, there, and everywhere.
Come on.
So yeah, get onto YouTube and subscribe or follow me, Patrick Tyrant. Very easy, the same name you see everywhere. I'm going to upload something tomorrow, just short and sharp, about 10 minutes or so. Just a few thoughts on the last couple of games and where we're at. So yeah, show me some love, give me some. To be fair, I've got a few subscribers, but I don't post anything on there. But it's time for me to actually put some content on there. So yeah, I'll be doing that.
Bless you, man.
Yeah.
There's the man. If you need content right now, this is now the time for it. Macca, mate, what a journey. What a journey, mate. Fingers crossed. Like I say, this is just that little blip that we knew was going to come at some point, and we're just going to ride on it and hopefully come back strong.
Cracker said it earlier, hold your nerve, like chill out, people, man. It's never as good as never as bad. There's always somewhere in the middle, and I think there's going to be more good than bad. And you know, we go again. Most important thing, Rick, is get off this channel now and go and enjoy your birthday evening with your family, mate. Have an amazing time, and we will celebrate hard on Thursday, team.
Bless you. Guys, from the wonderful Lee McQueen, from the superb Richard Cracknell, from the brilliant Patrick Tyrant, we've been the last one on Spurs. Guys, we urge you to keep safe, keep well, keep the faith. And